Now, prompting's really important, but it does get spoken about, I think personally, a little too much, and I'm going to show you this and why. So prompting is where you put this in here, a prompt, like an instruction for exactly what you want. And there is a certain way to do it to get the best results and different styles of results. Of course, when you're on the Discord channel previously, you'd have to type into here, you'd go /imagine, and then you would type in what it is that you want. No longer have to do that. You just type in exactly what it is that you need. You also used to have to use some other formatting to make sure you got it in 16:9 and things, but you can do that in your settings. I'll show you that in the next lecture. Let's just talk about prompting for now. So is there the question, is there a correct way to do this? Yes and no. If you want to learn more and go even deeper, there are prompt crafting, and also if I go on to help, I can go through here and look on video tutorials. It opens up Vimeo and they discuss all kinds of things, including prompting inside there. But let me show you an example to give you my feedback on what it is that you need. So any prompting will work, okay? If I just say something like a cat and I hit enter, I go back to the create, it will give me results. There's no limit on what it is. I could put in one number, I could put in one letter. It doesn't matter. But you're not in very much control of what your image is going to look like. And you probably have something else in mind for what you wanted your image of a cat to look like, depending on what the output is. Did you want it to create a video? Did you want it for a website? Did you want it for something else? Whatever it is. And it's given me all these different images. So here are different images of a cat that it's given me, really nice, and they've made these. If I was to do, have a look at this, if I was to do exactly the same prompt, a cat, and I was to hit that, you'll see I've got completely different images, exactly the same prompt, all the same settings, very different images both times. So every single time you prompt, even with the exact same prompt, you'll get different results. Ergo, how much does a prompt matter for the results you'll get? It'll matter with the style and what it is you're trying to achieve. It won't matter in the actual image that you get, because every single prompt gives a different result every single time. But these are pretty much photorealistic images, these ones. There's some ones here look like they could be for graphic design and stuff, but you might want something else. For example, let me go and illustration of a cat. Still not giving it much details. I've not said the size of the cat, color of the cat, type of cat, cat's location, where they are, nothing. Just an illustration of a cat. And if I wanted to do anime version of a cat, let's try that. Photorealistic image of a cat, sketch of a cat. We're going to see that all these give us a different result, and we've started giving it a instruction here. If I look over onto the right hand side here, you can see what it is that I've prompted, because I've done multiple jobs at the same time. So here was just the cat. If I've got an illustration of a cat, then I've got all these different types of illustration. This one very illustrative. This one looks like, yeah, like a drawing or so, and this one even more illustrative, and this one, but this one looks pretty photorealistic, doesn't it? So that's what you're going to get with AI. You keep prompting to get a different result, and I can show you things later when I want to do very subtle, very strong versions of an image. Here I said anime version of a cat. Definitely anime style of a cat. Yep, this one's like a cat person, these two. So I've got an anime version of a cat right there. And then right here's a photorealistic version of a cat. Yep, definitely photorealistic. This one looks a little slightly more illustrative. Definitely photorealistic. Gets a bit softer here, but look at the detail there. And then this one is not photorealistic. Then if I come back out, what was the last one that we did? A sketch of a cat. Yep, more like a painting here. Definitely a sketch of a cat. Definitely a sketch of a cat. And yeah, like a grey pencil sketch of a cat. So you can see how we're just adding something in here to say the kind of image that we want, and then the subject. So I pretty much do that. This is my prompting 101 by Dan. This is what I start with. I start with the type of image that I want. So I'm a big fan of using this, and you can copy it, a cinematic image of. Now I use a lot of these images to then create videos, but if you wanted an image for a website, you could say an image for a website of, and it will be slightly different. But I like a cinematic image of. You'll often get like a depth of field, a blurry background, which you can tell it to do also, but this is how I always start mine. So I'm going to say a cinematic image of a cat. And here's the results. Not great yet because I still haven't given it enough detail. This is definitely somewhat cinematic. Yeah, you can see that. This one definitely is with a blurred background. We're getting slightly more to like a Pixar style, which this one definitely does. But you could see it's cinematic from the style of, say, Pixar, Disney, something like that. And this one is cute, very cute. And we've got that depth of field, which it's understanding by the term cinematic. We're trying to think of what the AI tool has learned. It learned that cinematic connotes something like a blurred background, a great composition for your cat. See, it's over to one side here, center, but it's walking towards us. So a cinematic image of, but I still haven't given it much detail else, have I? So let's do that again. A cinematic image of a cat. Punctuation and spelling does not matter, but I like to divide it for my own understanding. Follow this, try your own, play with it. Like, once again, anything will give you a result and you might find your own way. But I started off with a cinematic image of a cat. The cat is white. Now I could have said a cinematic image of a white cat. I like to separate these all out. A cinematic image of a cat. The cat is white. I'd say close up. That's the type of shot that I want on a sofa. I could even say the type of sofa. I could say the color of sofa, etc. You could say outside. So that's location, basically. And then I say bright light. You could say if you're outside, for example, I would say you could do this, a cinematic image of a cat. The cat is brown, or a cinematic image of a brown cat. Close up, wide shot, medium shot, long shot, establishing shot. This is where I choose the type of shot that I want. On a sofa, it could be outside, on the street, bright sunny day, bright light, dark, midnight. That's how I pretty much set it up. Now, the last point will be, I like to do kind of the feel of the image. So if I was to say, well, let's run this one first and then I'll add that after. And here we go. Here's the results. Let's do a check here. A cinematic image of, so yep, definitely cinematic, especially one like this, of a cat. The cat is white. Yep, every single time. A little bit of ginger on the hair here, but definitely a white cat. It's a close-up. This one is not. That's a full body shot. Close-up on a sofa. Yes, definitely a sofa. And there's bright light coming in on every single one. There is bright light. So I could redo this and redo this and redo this. Let me use that again. And let me say, look, if I take this away, if I just say of a white cat, and I don't need to add this in right here. And then if I say a cinematic close-up image of a white cat's face on a sofa, bright light. So I'm thinking of light coming in, streaming in here. I'm going to get the cat's face and I can hit it. You're going to get very similar results. Not similar in so much as that it should be even closer now, but I mean breaking this down without those points. You find the way that works best for you. I like to use punctuation to break things up, make sure I'm covering every base. It reminds me if I'm missing a step, if I'm missing some details. And if you start getting strange results, it might be because, oh, I didn't tell it if it's daytime, nighttime. I didn't tell it if I want a close-up shot or not. Okay, that's fine. So now we're definitely getting more close-ups here. Obviously not this one, but look, now I've got a white cat. Yes. It's a close-up. Yes and yes. This one's kind of not. This one definitely not. Cat's face. That's a cat's face. Definitely cat's face is the main feature in here. It's on a sofa, 100%. And it's bright light. Yep, bright light coming in. I think there's an apple in the shot right here. Not sure why. But look, if I have something like this, I've definitely got that cinematic feel because it's got a blurred background, cat, sofa. Perfect. Exactly what I want. So let's say I'm making a movie and I want a few shots for something, okay? So to start with, I want to do, let's say we're going to do a Western, all right? So I'm going to say the first thing I want is a cinematic. So to start this, I'm going to have a cinematic establishing shot of a Western town, 1880s, bright sunlight, daytime. Let's get our establishing shot. Then I want to say something like, I use the same prompt, a cinematic establishing shot of a Western saloon. Hit enter for that. And then I want a cinematic close-up shot of a cowboy in a saloon, 1800s daytime. Let's do that. And I can scroll down and start seeing what we've got right here. Okay, here's an establishing shot. Yep, I could have also said a drone shot, so we're above the city, but right here you can see. So I've established my place. I'm in a Western, great. And then what are we doing in a Western? I have a saloon, inside a saloon. So this one, I missed something here. So instead of a Western, the exterior of a Western saloon. Of course, these are the kind of things, I'm glad that mistake was made, so you can see. It's the kind of small details what type of shot it is, who's in the shot, what's in the shot, is it inside, outside, daytime, nighttime, color, feel, and stuff like that. That's the last bit that we're missing. So I've got here my establishing, I've got right here, we're outside the saloon, then we are inside the saloon, and then I've got my shot of my cowboy. I could start doing other things, like if I took this and a cowboy here, okay, the cowboy is female, which probably should be a cowgirl. I mean, I can put that in there. Wearing a white hat. She is looking at camera, intense. That's another bit you can do in here. The feeling. I like to use words like intense, gritty, urban. These are the kind of prompting that you can get. If I want, for example, a gritty New York City street, and then if I just took away gritty, I'll show you the results. In the meantime, let's have a look at our cowgirl. So now we've definitely got a cinematic close-up, yes. Of a cowboy in a saloon, 1800, yes. The cowboy is female, a cowgirl, yes. Wearing a white hat, she's looking at camera, intense. Definitely looking at camera, or just slightly off. Yep, under a hat right there, definitely intense. Yep, straight looking at camera. Yep, we're getting exactly what we want with these prompts. Now, New York City, here I used gritty. Definitely gritty, 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 100%. That was the adjective, the descriptive word that I used for that. And then a New York City, because I did this one, it's somewhat taking some black and white right here, but definitely less gritty. You can also say bright sunshine and stuff like that. So the takeaway, this is how I would, and I'll put them up here, this is how I would do my prompt. The first one is type of image. So that's something like your illustration, your cinematic image of, your sketch, your anime, whatever it is that you want. The subject, is this a person, an animal? The type of shot, is it close up, which is a really close one? Is it a mid shot? So maybe you get them from waist up. Is it a long shot, full body? Establishing shot, we're establishing a scene, much like this, establishing a scene. What is the type of shot? Details of the scene. So is it day? Is it night? Clothing, expression, pose. Then I like to call this the feeling of the shot. Is it gritty, urban? Even you can use things like happy, sad, and it will understand what it is that you mean. So if you use this prompting, type of image, I'll go through this type of image. I want a cinematic image of a young boy, 4 years old. Type of shot, it's an establishing shot, it's wide or long shot in the street. Details of the scene, the boy is playing with a soccer ball and wearing dungarees in the daytime. He is very happy, he is looking straight at camera, and the feeling, it's a happy image, bright like that. That's the structure I would use. Don't overcomplicate prompting. It's best for you to go in and play with this. Now you know this, but this works even if you didn't use this format. It's just what I like to use. It works if you just put in one word like we've shown you. But these are the details you can start to think of. The only other thing you can do is if there is a particular style. Like, for example, if you wanted something like cyberpunk, which is that kind of neon bright lights that are coming in for, think Mad Max, that's not quite so much. Blade Runner is cyberpunk, for example, or there is, even if staying in the style of Wes Anderson, he's a director that does bright. For example, if I say, here, let's do a young boy playing in the street in the style of Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson is a director, if I spell his name right, Anderson. He's a director that does those images that are a bit like very colorful and often symmetrical, puts them in the center of shot. So you can say in the style of a director, or I like to say in a Pixar style if you're doing an animation. That's the last point. If you are, remember the AI model has learned that, so if you definitely want it in that style, use that. Otherwise you're only going to get in that style. It's very hard to say a Pixar image in the style of Wes Anderson. So much just like Wes Anderson works, we've got colorful here, bright, low shot, kid is in the middle. This is very Wes Anderson. It could be out of a Wes Anderson movie. That's the last point for prompting. So lots to think about, but the main thing to do is go in and play. Go in and play with this and see the results you get, please. That was prompting. So you can see how you can prompt to get the image. You'll want to do things like, this is in 16 by 9. You could have this tall if you want it for Instagram or social medias. You could have it super wide if you're doing a Western. You can change all the modes and everything in here, inside settings right here, which I would show you in the very next lecture. Go and get prompting, and I'll see you over there.